That's badass.
Dude, I love it. It's like one of the better investments that I've made over the year was this gimbal. Like sometimes I find this to be better than walking around with this at conventions and just getting a steadier thing that's like, I'm excited.
It's pretty steady.
Right?
Damn.
I freaking love this thing. It was only like $50 on Amazon.
How much?
$50 on Amazon. It was a company who, like, they definitely rose their prices, but they were trying to get their name out there. So I just happened to find them. I read the reviews. They were like amazing with like keeping it where you want to, anything you want to do. And I was like, this is perfect. Like if I want to be on the go and record something stable without getting like the hand jitters, that's my answer.
I have the big version of that for my camera.
I know I've seen like some really cool ones at this con.
But the small one looks amazing.
I dig it. And it's not too bulky where it's like you're like putting it up like this and someone's like, dude, come on, down in front, like please.
Oh yeah.
Because I always get subconscious about that. I'm like, shit, am I blocking someone's hindsight behind me? Oh cool, someone already popped in before. I even like showed the one thing. But also, oh, everyone's streaming right now. That's why it's bogged.
Yeah, I would imagine uploading bandwidth in this room. It's gonna be a little challenge right now.
Oh yeah. Like I was like looking around, I was like, why is it so slow? I'm like, oh yeah, because everyone's probably online right now. Hey, what's up, Josh? Welcome back, man. See you real fast. Show you what's up, Josh. Place is bad. Smooth criminal right there.
Yeah. So either he's already in this room in the back, or it's gonna come through that door.
I'm hoping he does. God, who did I see from Star Trek that was like, Francis. He was like on the original with Kirk, or not Kirk, freaking Picard. And like he literally sat down in the audience and waited for them to call him, and then he just stood up. He's like, "Hey, what's up, guys?"
Oh, that's dope. When was this?
This was like a few weekends ago at San Francisco Comic-Con.
Nice.
He was so boss about it too. He's like the most funniest guy you'll meet too. He's just like a ham bone.
Did anybody like notice him or?
No, he just sat down. Like he definitely has aged a lot, but his humor is still on point,
That's
bro.
hilarious.
Yeah, like you see him, it's like he's a silver fox now compared to where he was before.
Yeah.
He was like, he had the whole brown wavy hair going on. Now he just got that like salt and pepper look to him. It's distinguished. Ain't nothing wrong with it,
It's so crazy.
right? That's what I love about cons is because most famous people are so relaxed.
Yeah.
You know, they're
People
just
are
like,
real here.
not like the paparazzi. Hey, I know you're gonna go use the bathroom, but I'm gonna take a picture real fast. Like, yeah, this is kind of weird.
How big's your dick? No, but you know what? Just leave me alone.
Yeah, it's just like, dude, I'm just trying to take a piss here.
Bunch of random stuff. Bob.
It's like vlogs or what?
You know, like everybody does vlogs, and they like show everything they do. Yeah, so I do the opposite. I make everything secret.
Even the videos you post, it's like nothing in it.
Well, no, there is, but I kind of bring people like if wherever they jump in.
Okay, should hopefully be starting soon.
Bring them on like a ride.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, hang in there, Josh. 2:30 is when the panel is supposed to like start. It's 2:34. I'm pretty sure he's probably pretty busy.
I know.
talking to sponsors, doing his thing. Any minute now.
That's it. Love it, dude.
Not gonna lie, Bob's really based off me.
Dude, that's hilarious. And you look just like the dad in Bob's World. Yeah. You would look like your father turned out to actually be. Which is tripping me out.
What about you? You got a card or?
Yeah, dude. I'm a
Oh, there we go. It's showtime.
Hells yeah. Casey!
No.
Hey guys!
Oh my god.
Dude, you were at the talk I did like an hour ago, so now I have to think of all new things to say. Hey, can I hijack this situation for a minute? Okay, hold on.
Yeah!
Super important. Okay, today is my little brother's birthday.
Oh!
He's like a grown-ass man. He's not like a baby brother kind of thing. Okay, so I'm gonna do like a 1, 2, 3, and then can we do happy birthday, Dean? Not Dan, Dean.
Yeah.
You have to say Dean Neistat, otherwise he's gonna think I like found this footage somewhere. Okay, are you ready? Okay. 4, 3, 2.
Happy birthday, Dean!
That was pretty good, guys.
That's crazy.
Can we start now, or do you want me to do another? Why do I get the couch?
I asked them which one I should sit in. Do you want the chair? You can sit on.
No, let's go, Taylor. No, I'm not feeling lonely, but thank you.
So first.
Oh,
The security.
do you mind just stepping? Don't worry, I'm like a
Can we move this
trained
table?
fighter. I can. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, look at that gentleman.
Boss!
Is that what works for you?
Big old muscles.
I'm worried about you. It's not the rest of these things.
So first of all, I can't even believe that you made it here. Are you okay? You were in the hospital like 24 hours
Still have
ago.
the bracelet.
What the hell?
Did you get your appendix out? What happened?
Okay, so it goes like this, if you'll bear with me. I have appendicitis, but because my whole family is doctors, they caught it super early. So therefore I was given the option to treat it with antibiotics in the hospital for 24 hours or have them cut me open and tear it out. I don't know about you guys, I really like my appendix. And why have an excruciatingly painful surgery today when you can have an excruciatingly painful surgery tomorrow? Yeah, but I'm on antibiotics. I'm still in kind of rough shape.
Amazing.
So if I'm like super Stacy. So if you ask me a question that just looks like I'm buffering before I answer, that's what's going on.
Okay.
Just picture this spinning wheel. I'm on a lot of meds right now.
I'm actually also on heavy antibiotics and losing my voice.
Oh great, we're a match made in
So we
heaven.
are a pair.
I just want to say, have we met before?
No, we never met in
Ever.
person. Never in person.
Okay, I just want to say before we get started here, because I probably have slightly more YouTube subscribers than you do.
I don't
but
know YouTube.
that was my point. Taylor is by far my favorite, it's flattery, it's coming at you, get ready. By far my favorite journalist covering the social media space out there. And I always say that when anybody asks, you're the only person who gets it. But I say that, but you've also done some pieces where
He's
you
my
just...
hype man, actually, that's why he's here.
You've written some pieces that take down YouTubers,
Yeah.
and the YouTube community's really lashed out against you online. I appreciate it from all sides, and I think you're one of the very few journalists that truly understands it. Most, like, you know, your story about YouTubers, it sounds like it was written by, like, your 6-year-old uncle who, like, you see once a year at Thanksgiving and just has no idea. Taylor's one of the few that I feel like writes from a perspective who really understands it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that means a lot.
So thanks for coming today, guys.
I was going to say, I think all my cousins also think I'm lame at Thanksgiving.
Okay, good.
I was like, what are the...
I said that up front so she won't ask me any hard questions.
Yeah. Well, you're Casey, you're you know, an amazing, influential YouTuber. You have all these fans here. But it is actually kind of, you know, interesting. You know, you're one of the sort of like OG YouTubers, I guess. And, you know, one thing that I had spoken to a few other YouTubers and they actually encouraged me to ask you about is, you know, what it's like coming, I'm sure this is, how many VidCons have you been to?
I think this is 4, it's either 3 or 4 for me.
Oh, it's not as many as like, I thought you were been since like...
No. No, I'm like a newcomer.
Well, you're also at TanaCon?
Yes. Well, I don't really know what that is or what my involvement is, but she DM'd me and I was like, you bet your ass I'll be at TanaCon. If anybody knows what TanaCon is, just grab me and explain it to me.
I actually was going to ask you, what is it? Because
I don't know, but I know she like broke off and is doing her own
Yeah.
thing, and I just think she's such like, she's a sport in the community and does a lot and has a big following, does a lot for her following. When she
Yeah.
asked me if I'd be a part, I was like, of course. And then I didn't go further than that, but I'll definitely go over there and say hi.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, like, is this like, I don't know, what is the fact that like all of these creators are sort of going there? I mean, one creator was wondering if it was going to be more of a rift, if old sort of, I don't know, if not that old creators would abandon VidCon, but if VidCon has sort of like phased a lot of them out. Do you feel that way?
I think this is a question that we were actually discussing at lunch, which was like, is it possible for VidCon to maintain its relevancy, its coolness, its like, you know, being the sort of the preeminent physical get-together that is, this room has no windows, by the way, that is about the YouTube community. And I think it's a hard thing to do because the community ebbs and flows, and unlike an NBA or an NFL, like YouTube is by definition completely fragmented communities. And I think what Tana represents is like she's doing something that's much more specific to her community, and she, I'm assuming, thought it would be more appropriate to do separate from an event like this. But to the broader question, I don't know. I think it's tough. I also really empathize with the organizers here and the, you know, like the people at YouTube. Like it's challenging to try to do something that's safe for everybody, something that's really well organized and structured. When you're moving like, what, 30,000 people here this year, plus hundreds of creators, and like, there are lots of security concerns and things like that. So how do you do all that and maintain the integrity of what this is, which is about celebrating the community? Those are all really, really hard questions to answer. Was that just a,
No,
was
that
that a
makes
swerve,
sense.
or did
No,
I answer the
it was
question?
something that people kept messaging me about. I was like, I gotta bring it up because I was curious. And yeah, I'm the same thing. I got credentialed to cover TanaCon. I'll be there, but I'm still trying to figure out what it is. It's the first year, so they're fun.
Yeah, it's on your phone.
Yeah. So you're speaking of YouTube's sort of challenge to manage creators here. They've also had challenges sort of managing creator expectations on the platform. I guess, how well of a job do you think YouTube is doing? What do you think YouTube could improve in terms of the way that it relates to creators?
I mean, that's like the $1 zillion question. If I had the answer to that question, I might be running YouTube right now. But I think the answer is, I don't know. I think that, like, you know, YouTube, all the stuff that YouTube leadership says, whether they say it in an interview with me in my office, thanks Robert, appreciate the views, or it's something they do in a press release, or something they do in a much more formal capacity, like I listened to Kara Swisher and Rico shows it. And it's always sort of them highlighting the same conflict, which is like, they've got 1 billion plus users on the platform. If 1% of those billion are really active creators, that's 10 million creators. If those 10 million creators are uploading 10 times a month, then you're talking about, I'm not very good at math, what is that, 100 million? In any event, it's completely impossible to try to both nurture, monitor that influx of individuals and content and everything else. So then how do they pick? How do they do their job? How do they make it be the best place for creators to be? And I think that's a very, very, very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think that yesterday's announcement, did you guys all see that? They announced like a bunch of different ways where you can monetize your channel. I think it's a step in the right direction. I really do. I mean, I think if I had under 100,000 subscribers, it'd probably be frustrating to see that like that subscribe thing. Did you see that? They did like what you can do on Twitch, where you can just pay creators $5 a month, but you have to have 100,000 subs. Great idea, but again, that's got to be frustrating to everybody who has under 100,000.
Yeah.
So again, it's like a quick win for.
Yeah, I certainly don't have all the answers either. So speaking of smaller creators, you have your 360 sort of project thing happening. Can you tell me about how it's going to work with small creators? Like what?
Sure. I mean, we're developing that in real time. I think the biggest frustration, the hardest part with 368 is that, 368, the company, the media organization, the incubator, the physical space, the whole point of that entity was to create something that was a third-party way of organizing community. I mean, obviously, compared to YouTube, 368 will be a very, very, very small thing. No matter how big we get, it will always be small. But I wanted to launch The Daily Show to sort of share with the world what's happening at 368. The tough part was like, between opening the doors at 368 Broadway at that space, and then us being a fully functioning, up and running company as I foresee it, there's just a lot of hurdles in between there. We're in the thick of that right now. So we're getting closer to being at a place where we're going to be fully operational. And certainly a big facet of that operational, of the company being operational, is having a program where we work with small creators. And it's exciting. And where we're starting with that is it's like, how do we come up with some sort of egalitarian, some sort of fair system, a democratic system where anybody can apply, and we pick a handful of creators, and they come through our program. Maybe it's 5 days long, or maybe it's 2 months long. Like maybe we give them money, or maybe we teach them how to build a career. Maybe we teach them how to create. So there's a lot of, it's wildly nebulous right now, and our intention very specifically is to start super small. I mean, we're literally picking 5 creators that we find. We bring in, we work with, we see what comes out on the other side of that. We take that understanding, we iterate, build on top of that, and just keep scaling that. I can talk ad nauseum about 368 if you have more questions, or I can just keep going.
No, it sounds great. No, I was just curious.
Because that's just like one tiny aspect of the ambition of that company.
Yeah.
But certainly, like, first and foremost, can we build something that actually, for me, it's not teaching creators how to be creators. It's teaching creators how they can build a business and make a living being a creator. Because I think there's still this very wildly incorrect understanding, which is like, you get a lot of views, you make a lot of money. It's just not the case. And moreover, there are myriad opportunities for creators that have very little to do with metrics. That have very little to do with how many views you get. But instead, you can make a really meaningful living. You can start your company, you can build a business around yourself, you can build a brand around yourself. And it doesn't, having a shitload of views is not mutually exclusive to succeeding as a creator. And if we can inform that in some small part, and once we scale that, I think that aspect of 368 will be deemed a success.
So is that your main goal, like helping?
I mean, certainly that's the main goal, yeah. But in addition to that, like that ambition begets other opportunities.
Yeah.
So we want to figure out ways to work with creators. Like, I've always made money off of AdSense, but it's never been my primary income. Instead, like my Nike video is what made my YouTube channel. But I made that Nike video when I had a small channel. And it was about working with a brand. Nike didn't care how many subscribers I had. They're like, no, we like the work that you do, so what can we do together? So it wasn't influencer marketing, it was them seeing me as a creator. And it was like that understanding, I've had that sort of by default, because I kind of fell into it 8 or 9 years ago now. So can we build an infrastructure that sort of shares that both complicated and new understanding with an entire generation of individuals who have similar aspirations?
So, sort of in line with monetization, but I was talking to a bunch of kids that do a bunch of like live streaming apps. Everyone's on sort of trying to get deals with a lot of these apps in part because of monetizing themselves. What I guess could you talk to me about like your thoughts on the broader ecosystem, like outside of YouTube, like a lot. How do you get started on a lot of platforms outside YouTube? YouTube can be hard to break into. Do you recommend sort of trying to get big on a smaller app than?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, it goes like this. Like, and this is talking really objectively, like in the least sexy way possible, because this isn't about great creative. This is with an assumption that you have great creative, an assumption you're making something that people want to see. The value is not in the content. Content has no intrinsic value. The value is in the influence that comes along with the content. So as a creator, if you're hoping to sort of build a business around yourself, it's not exclusively about, that's why I said it's not about getting those views, it's not exclusively about the content. It's about how can you sort of leverage your influence in a way that demonstrates who you are and what you represent. And I think to do that, by necessity, it's about embracing every platform that's available to you. I'm not very good at that. I don't, like, Ryan Seacrest said I was the best Snapchatter in the world in 2015 or something. I haven't opened Snapchat. I don't even know if it's installed on my phone. Like, I'm a terrible Snapchatter right now. I don't even open it. Like, Instagram, I post a picture when I have a cute one of my, like, I'm not good at other platforms because my passion is much more about the creative aspect of making videos. So I don't always succeed at this, but I do see, and I do recognize that influence is wildly valuable today. And if you're able to command that influence across myriad platforms, your value is higher because of that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
What was your question?
No, that was basically my question. I guess, like, yeah, I don't know. I think from a technology perspective too, it seems to be there's a lot more movement towards like closed systems. Like, not like you mentioned, Snapchat's, sort of, I don't know, not doing the best. I mean, Instagram has been performing well, but it seems like the age of this sort of like open, broad social network where you can just go and go viral is I don't know. I mean, I think aside from YouTube and Instagram, I don't really know any other platforms. And as people move to these smaller, closer communities, I guess what does that mean for influencers like yourself that have sort of built a business off this like broad, wide community?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's my first reaction to IGTV. I think it's exciting. I think it's interesting. I think when they monetize that, it could become much more compelling. But as I'm thumbing through Instagram TV, it's like, how can something become viral? When I see something amazing, how can I share it? I know, bring back Vine. Where is Vine? Vine.
I was going to say, like, 4 separate app like representatives have told me that they're making the new Vine, just at VidCon. So.
Good luck.
I don't think you can.
That's what everybody wants to
Well, I can probably get a better angle.
Your question though was about these smaller closed
Yeah, it's
networks
just
versus
basically like,
something
there's a trend towards like more direct messaging, more, I think, because like, Twitter is very toxic, but these big open platforms, they have moderation problems, they have, negativity problems, and so people, like, user behavior is trending towards more closed networks. And for somebody like you and other creators who build their business off, like, sort of having this mass scale, that's really hard to get. You can't go viral on, like, WhatsApp or Slack or, these sort of closed systems. So I'm just wondering, I guess, like, what you think that means for creators or influencers.
I think that you're just going to see a much, much greater bifurcation, like a much greater separation of sort of mega influencers that can swing and sway wherever they want to be, and then people using social networks for what they were meant to be used for. And that's the thing I found most heartbreaking about Evan's interview with Kara at Rico. Did you listen to that? CEO of Snapchat is talking about his vision for Snapchat and why Facebook will never be able to copy it. And it's because it's not about competing with your friends for likes. I'm butchering this, Evan, if you see this, but it's not about competing with your friends for likes, but it's about having a meaningful relationship with your peers and using social media as a catalyst for that meaningful relationship. It was like a really beautiful vision for what Snapchat is and was meant to be. And meanwhile, they're just getting their asses handed to them by their competitor who effectively took their product, but instead made it about competing with your friends for likes, which is what Instagram is. So I don't know. Like, I think the short answer is I think it's really, really challenging. And I think that people's wants don't always align with what's most sort of morally compelling and what businesses mostly target towards.
What do you think of the whole like time well spent movement? Like, I'm curious about like what you think about that. Because I mean, Evan says stuff like that, like, oh, you aren't competing with people for likes, but there's still ranking systems. You still want to keep your streaks up on Snapchat. There is some like, it is like I think somewhat, I don't know, facilitate. It's still a social media.
She's full of shit.
That's a call. I feel like I should ask some questions from the audience because so many people have been tweeting us, and I want to make sure that.
I think he believes it. I don't think he's full of it. Like, I don't think he's full of it. I read a book about Snapchat, and I've listened to every interview he's done. I really do think.
I think he's a product genius. I don't think he's full of it. I think he's a little. I think he's a. Oh, I think he's a little delusional, but I think he's earnest. And I think he's earnest, but I think that no, I believe in him. Sorry, Evan, if you're watching this VidCon. He knows how I feel.
She's great, right? I told you, she gets it.
I really get it. No, I have a huge amount of respect for Santa. I don't know how to. Okay, anyway, so speaking of which, you're about to have another child.
That's true. October.
How is that going to affect me too?
Cool, yeah. 8% of all human beings were, okay, what's your...
How's this going to affect your life and, you know, vlogging schedule, your work schedule? You're going to take any time off?
I don't know the answer to any of those questions, but it is complicated. It is. And I was just asked, I did talk a minute ago, I was just asked, like, how do you find work-life balance? And I think what's made it really easy for me is that I'm older. Like, I'm 37. I think the majority of really big YouTubers are a lot of them are in their 20s. I don't have a social life that competes with my work life or my family life. I really don't. Like, I'm totally introvert. I don't like being out in public. I don't like being at parties. I don't like going to events. I don't like being around people. I like looking at Paul. I work with back there all the time. Paul once said to me, I've been working closely with him for like 4 years. He's like, in the history of knowing you, Casey, we've never once just had dinner. I don't do dinners. I don't do any of that stuff. So it does, like, that does give me opportunities to sort of take that, you know, time's fungible, but take that time I'd be spending doing all that other stuff and reinvest it with family and with work. I don't know. No idea. 2 babies? It's a terrible idea.
How are you going to feel if they want to become bloggers? Have any of your kids?
No, my kids aren't allowed to become bloggers. I would much rather my daughter come home and tell me she wants to be a stripper than come home and tell me she wants to be a blogger.
You're so boss.
You guys know what I'm talking about.
Keep it real.
No, why? Because the lifestyle's so hard.
It is just brutal. Have you ever read YouTube comments? No human being should ever be. No, I don't mean to be so discouraging. I think maybe one of my biggest frustrations, especially in connection with smaller creators, aspiring creators, is the gap between wanting to succeed in this space and realizing success in this space. And I think that, like, I've always worked really hard to be a YouTuber. I've always, like, tried to make the best content. I've always, like, done everything I can to succeed as a YouTuber. But I also attribute so much of my success to just luck. It's just luck. If I started what I did in 2015, if I started that today, it wouldn't succeed. It was like timing happened to work. Like, I did on HBO in 2010 exactly what I did on YouTube in 2015. It didn't work on HBO, it failed. And then it worked on YouTube. Like, all of these things are not things within my control. This doesn't have anything to do with hard work or ambition or desire. This has to do with luck and being at the right place in the right time. And the thing that's so hard for me to see, and I hope this doesn't come across as discouraging, and a lot of you are aspiring creators, is it's so easy to look at the really successful YouTubers and be like, I'm just like that person, because there's so much truth to that. Like, everybody in here with a camera and a dream, like, that was me. That was my whole life. Like, we are very similar. But the distance between that aspiration and the reality can be so far and so broad. And I think that a big misconception is that, like, it's much closer than it actually is. That it's an overnight thing. But, like, you know, for me, it was 15 years before I found a level of success. But with YouTubers, I think it's this idea that all I need to do is pick up my camera. Next thing I know, I can have that. And it's I see how discouraging it is to creators. I have people come up to me like, I've uploaded every day for the last 2.5 years, and I have 1,200 subscribers. And like that, that is heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking. And I think that's why there can be a collective disenfranchisement with a creator community and the platform, because it's like, I'm doing everything I think I'm supposed to do to succeed, but I'm not succeeding, so maybe it's the platform's fault. When the reality is, like, there are all these variables outside of everyone's control. I call those variables luck. And, like, they don't always hit the right people. So I don't actually mean it when I say I would rather have my daughter be a dancer than be a YouTuber, but I do mean that, like, when I say something like that, I'm expressing just how challenging and disparaging and brutal of a path it can be to find your footing in the world of social media. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think acknowledging love is really important because I think especially
It's such love.
Yeah.
It's such love.
So, you know, part of the way that a lot of, and this sort of goes back to what you're doing at 368, but part of the way that, you know, YouTubers have always sort of come up is through collabs and, you know, getting in with the right people. And I think, you know, you formalized it, J. Paul obviously has his Team 10 thing, but there are these, like, you know, people collaborate and bring each other up. Well, what advice would you give for young people on, like, who to collab with, how to collab? Like, do you still see that, like, being a main, like, mechanism for growth for YouTubers? Like,
Yeah, I think growth hacking is a really, really, really key part of finding success on any platform. I think that Vine, one of the things that really sunk Vine in the end is they made it too easy to growth hack. Like I knew that collective of individuals, and they were just Vine for Vine, and they had a whole agreement, and it made it impossible to penetrate. But on YouTube, I think collabs are something much more honest because they're about sort of physically being with and working with another creator. And I can tell you that what attracts me to collab with other people are when I see something that feels completely new or something I don't have access to. I think of my friend Molly, who's a blind YouTuber, and when she reached out to me, I was a blind YouTuber, what does that mean? And then I went to her channel, and her content was great. And she's a blind YouTuber, like, great content, and she has something that I could never imagine, I don't understand. So I collaborate with her, and I think, like, the video that I made was an expression of what I learned from working with her, and she made something similar. Elle Mills, who's, like, my favorite YouTuber, everyone loves her. Did you see her new tattoo? It says no regrets. I mean, when I first saw her content, I was like, wow, like no one on the platform is making stuff like this. And that is most of the people that I collab with also, like I'm trying to think of my recent collabs where like Rachel Demita, like she did I say her last name right? Demita? Do you know Rachel? She's a basketball player.
Yeah.
She's a Division I basketball player, and she's really figured out how to merge her skills as an athlete with her ambitions to be a YouTuber. Like that's fascinating to me. So you asked what advice I'd have for smaller creators that want to collab and help build their channel that way. I think it's about like to reduce it to something really objective. It's not a value exchange. Rachel, like, I don't know how to play basketball. I have no idea how to connect that with the YouTube audience. She does. So by me spending time with her and us collaborating, I'm getting something from her. There's an exchange of value there. So wanting to collab with someone's not enough. What do you bring to the table? And it doesn't really matter if you have 1 subscriber or 1 million subscribers. Like, you can demonstrate something you uniquely bring to the table that is divorced from how big your following is.
and do you see, I mean, YouTube to me feels, and I'm just, maybe this is like a very broad topic, but I think it can be hard for emerging creators like to break into these cliques that they see as like very difficult to crack into, not just because they're like people that are really famous, more famous than them, but you know, even YouTubers that are famous, like some can be very successful on their own, but feel ostracized by this like cliquiness of the creator community. And I don't know if you've ever felt that way, but I guess like, I guess this is an advice question people keep asking, but like, what advice would you have for kids that do sort of feel alone? How do they find their place among other creators? Like, I don't know, do you think that YouTube is like an inherently cliquey platform?
Sort of. Yes, like YouTube's definitely clicky. And you can look at most creators and figure out sort of what little social dynamic that they fall into. But I'll tell you that, like, this is gonna sound crazy, but when I really launched my YouTube channel, it went from a place where I upload, maybe 10 times a year to switching overnight to a daily vlog. I felt like a little bit of a dope. Because I'm like, I was 34 at the time, and I'm like this old 34-year-old guy who wants to start daily vlogging. And the only people who daily vlogged then were like Fun for Louie and Ben Brown, and daily vlogging was essentially like a point and shoot like this. It's like, hey, I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee now. It's like, hey, I'm drinking a cup of coffee now. And then it's like, hey, that coffee was delicious. It's like, hey, I'm eating a coffee shop. Like daily vlogging was nothing more than sort of a diary. And I was like, no, I want to go in and share my daily life and like have it be cinematic and have it be like a movie. And like there was so much self-doubt there, so it just felt stupid. It felt really silly. Like I set up a camera so I could walk out of the bedroom and have a dramatic shot. I mean, like, I'm just like those guys that are like, hey, I'm getting a cup of coffee now. The difference is I like, put some sound design under it and use the tripod. So like, there was so much stuff out there, and the fact that there was nobody else working in that space, let alone like a married father of two in his mid-30s. So I think that like, yes, YouTube is super clicky, but you know, if you are entering into it, it's up to you to sort of, you gotta be brave. You have to kind of define who you are. Because there's one thing that I have learned on YouTube, and it should be hugely optimistic and something that's really motivating for everyone. There's an audience for everyone on YouTube. An audience for everyone. Do you know Doug De Niro?
Yeah.
Do you guys know Doug De Niro? Okay, there's a couple of nerds and car nerds in here. Okay, he's this guy, I mean, how old is he? He's probably in his 30s, right? Like 20s, 30s, something like that, yeah. And he's like this like totally normal average dude, and he sets his like camcorder up on a tripod, and he finds some car, and he talks about that car for like 25 minutes. This is every video that he's ever made. Everyone is exactly the same. His channel has what? How many subs? Is it 3 million? Okay. 2.7 million? All of his videos like average like anywhere between 1 to 3 million views. And like, he's this guy who in a million years you wouldn't like, I'd be like, hey, there's a YouTuber, bro. He is so far outside the norm of what it means to be a YouTuber. Yet I probably spent more time watching his car videos than I had any other creator. I don't even care about cars. I don't know what it is. I just like watch, and the point is like, there's an audience and an appetite for everyone. And I promise you, like, I don't know him, although I'm a big fan of Doug's. I don't know him. I don't think when he sat down and decided to do this, it's coming from a place of like, I want to be like one of these clicky YouTubers. I want to have a video that starts every time being like, hey guys, like, I don't think that was his thing. I think he was someone who was passionate about cars and wanted to share his opinions on cars. And some marriage of luck and like his desire to share his passion led him to this place of now being like, not a kind of successful YouTuber, like a wildly successful, like top 1% level smash hit of a YouTuber. So there's a market for everyone.
So,
sorry, bear with me.
You mentioned Snapchat's not on your phone
There we go.
What, you know, I guess platforms come and go. What social or video platforms are you really excited
Shit,
about?
sorry, gimbal's going crazy.
I don't know the answer to that question. No, I can tell you, like, as far as social media on my phone, the one that I use the most is by far is Twitter. To like a 10th degree. Like my addiction to Twitter is really bad, and my wife tends to keep the phone away from me. I don't know what it is, and it's like, I love Twitter. I think Twitter's amazing.
How often do you read your mentions on Twitter? I mean, do you have the quality filter on, or do you read every mention?
Oh, I don't read any mentions. I'm not, Twitter for me is like one of the few, I'll say this honestly, it's like one of the few social media outlets that's like not just a place to go to like get your ego patted. Like, good job, buddy. Like, 10,000 likes on a picture. Thanks, Instagram. I feel great for the day. It's not that on Twitter. Twitter for me is like a newspaper. And I have all these weird idiosyncratic rules on Twitter. Like, I won't follow a left-leaning or liberal political journalist unless I also then follow a right-leaning conservative journalist. I mean it. Like, I have all these self-imposed rules, and it means my Twitter feed is extremely colorful. When I meet colorful,
What's up, Dr. Bennett? Welcome back.
That's what she's laughing at. But it's like it's a wild sort of like confluence of perspectives on the world. So when something happens, like the first lady wears a wildly inappropriate jacket to her visit, I'm like, what is going on? And you know, it's like I go to Twitter, like, what's Twitter saying? And then I sort of get some understanding of all these wild perspectives on it. In the world we live in, there's always something going on, so I'm just glued to. I'm with you. I want to make sure I'm not totally crazy.
Some of your other rules do that.
My Twitter rules?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm so curious. That's a weird, like, the follow thing. I can't unfollow you.
The girls and I are gonna try. I'm probably gonna tag along, see if I can record something.
With the retweets, it's guilty among a lot of YouTubers. And when they're trying to promote something, they'll retweet like 10,000 people who are also promoting that. You know what I'm talking about? This is my two in this woods right now.
Right.
And it's like, dude, take it easy, man. You're just destroying my feed. You asked me what video platform I was excited about, though, and I don't know. I mean, I'm permanently excited about YouTube. Like, I'm really bullish on YouTube. And I think that there's always more that can be done to nurture the community. It feels like they are working hard to do that. What's the thing they do? Summit? New York, YouTube does this thing called Summit where they invite like 100 or 200 YouTubers. It's very small, but they always have all the senior leadership there. And that was like a month ago in New York City. And it was like a tone that I'd never heard from YouTube before. And that tone was about their passion and desire to help enable, promote creators. And I believe it, like I think it's real. I think they have to for business. I think like the creator community can go wherever the hell the creator community wants to go. So what's the best home for it? Right now, by far, YouTube is the best home
Go
for
next
it.
year.
And I think they're working hard to make sure that that remains the case. But
It's really fun. It's like
Twitch is
TwitchCon.
interesting. I think what Fortnite
But TwitchCon's more
and
game
doing
oriented.
for Twitch is like huge. But Twitch is still primarily about gaming.
For now.
IGTV, which just came out yesterday, I think is really interesting. I think there's not a great video app for mobile, and that feels
Shit,
like
my
a
bad.
great
Hold
video
on.
app for mobile.
There we go.
Are people willing to sit down and watch 10 minutes of vertical? I don't know if I am, but maybe. Are you? Like, what do you guys? Yeah. What do you? Yeah. So you mix it up. What do you do? Turn your camera sideways to record it? Yeah. Okay. Just like that. So who knows? It's early. It's early. I mean, there's space. There's opportunity.
Yeah.
Like I don't think YouTube's hegemony is such that it will prevent others from entering the space. I just don't think there's been a viable alternative yet.
Yeah. So some people have asked about anxiety. Does anxiety ever, how do you deal with anxiety? Spending a lot of time online, it sounds like you spend a lot of time on Twitter. Can that kind of give you a lot of anxiety? How do you unplug? What do you do when you unplug? And does anxiety ever stop you from doing exactly what you want to do? It sounds like not really good.
I mean, my anxiety manifests in other ways. I get frustrated like every day when I run out of time. I always run out of time. I run out of time every day. 7 days a week I run out of time, where I can't fit everything in a single day. And that sounds so silly and superficial, but that is like a sense of frustration that
I love it. Filming courtesy.
is so frustrating for me. Like if I sleep any less tonight, I'm gonna be sick tomorrow. But if I go to bed now, I'm not gonna finish X, Y, and Z. And it's like that 7 days a week, and that's my biggest source of anxiety. And I think there's a way to connect that to YouTube and my desire to be making new content. But I think that that's something that permeates almost every fabric of my life. But I'm definitely not one of those people. Like one of my hippie friends just invited me to some retreat.
Nice, man.
It's like,
Yeah.
I'll
we
probably be
totally
there too.
unplug for 10 days, no phones, no computers, just relaxation, great food, and great people. Like, that sounds awful. Like, what's the retreat where I can have, like, really good internet connection, all my phones, and a laptop 6 inches from my face all day long? That's what I want.
You won't find it in America.
I don't know that you should be applauding that, by the way. I appreciate the support, but I don't know that that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Running is a huge, talk about anxiety, it's a huge pressure release valve for me. And I think whether it's exercise or it's meditation or it's cooking or it's like physically reading a paper with an ink on it book, like finding your release valve is, I think, absolutely critical. I'm a miserable person if I
I'm proud of you,
haven't
Venom.
run in any given day. I was late for this talk because I ran between my 11 a.m. talk and this talk
Shit.
at 2:30.
I don't know why my gimbal's going completely AWOL.
You know, honestly, it's
Come on, Gimbal.
pace. It's been the 720 pace, but I think it's the antibiotics still working their way through the system.
So I have a question that's like maybe selfish is really because I work in news. You think a lot of news from Twitter. There's also a lot more deconstructing. There's also a lot more YouTube news channels that have cropped up. I've written a lot about John Alert, but there's a lot of which is kind of tabloid YouTuber news. But there's also a lot of traditional companies trying to get into YouTube. How do you feel like YouTube is affecting news consumption? Do you feel like there's any channels that are doing news on YouTube really well? Do you think there will ever be a place for news?
I do. I really do. And I think that, like, much in the same way that media broadly has been fragmented because of YouTube. What I mean by that is, like, when I was a kid in the 80s, we had 20 channels or 25 channels. The only thing that I had to watch was MTV or Nickelodeon. That's it. So, like, did I really love, like, Nickelodeon, or I really love MTV? Like, not really, but it was the only option I had. But then look where we are today. Beyond YouTube, you've got Netflix and Hulu and everybody else, but, like, even just on YouTube, there are millions of channels. You can find exactly what it is you're looking for. Like a white dude who talks about cars for 20 minutes, that's what I want to see today, show me it. And it's right there. And I think we're going to see that same decentralization with news. I don't mean to sound like it's in the future, I think we're seeing it right now. And I think it's an amazing thing. I think it's like, rather than having one news channel where you have to learn everything from, there's a number of them. And if you're interested in online sort of tabloidy things, there's Drama Alert, or there's TMZ. And if you're interested in conspiratorial things, there's certainly plenty of that on YouTube.
Yeah, and it's auto surfaced a lot.
Well, and so this is where I was taking it, is that it can go to a dangerous place. I think that, like, journalism as a whole is like, you've got journalistic standards, you've got journalistic integrity, you've got editors. And when you start to remove all of that because of the total fragmentation, total decentralization, I think it can lead to sort of really dark places. That notwithstanding, though, I do think there are some really amazing, when you look at Great Big Story, which is owned by my former employer, CNN, but Great Big Story is a YouTube channel and a Facebook video channel. They put 2 or 3 videos out a day about, like, one thing that's really interesting. This morning, like, I watched a video by them that was about a female big wave surfer. And she wears a head-to-toe wetsuit, she's in freezing cold water, and nobody knows she's a girl, but she can surf with the rest. Like, that's an amazing little story that would have no place in normal media. I think it's Phil DeFranco. Like, Phil DeFranco is an absolute genius. And Phil started, if you look at his channel from 2.5, 3 years ago, it was much more about what's happening in the world of YouTube. And now he's tackling big world issues. And I think that, like, I don't always care about what he's talking about. I don't always share his perspective. But I look at him and I'm like, oh, cool, like a YouTuber, a guy who's like me, and he's telling me what he thinks right now, and he's telling me what's going on right now. I appreciate that.
What's going on our 3 YouTube videos?
Grow as the space gets bigger and bigger.
And I feel like also sort of in line of news, like you mentioned, all the YouTubers feel like they're unfairly covered in the press, or they're very sensitive. Well, I don't know if that's the right word.
Sensitive.
I think feel like that maybe the media. I guess yeah.
I think it's tough. I think it's tough because, like, some 2-bit D-level actor who had some, like, feature on some rom-com that was on 4 years
dude, it's
ago
a fun thing to come
will
on
be
to.
treated by the press as, like,
you can always vicariously live through me.
actress so-and-so, actor so-and-so. They're given this prominence. And YouTubers who might command an audience of 2 or 3 million views, 2 or 3 million people a day watching it, which rivals the Kardashians or anything in between, is treated as, like, a YouTuber, like, dismissed, like, swept in a barrel of people who talk on the webcam for a living. And I think, like, that is the butt-hurtness that is expressed. That is the frustration that's expressed by a lot of YouTubers. It's like you're talking about celebrity, you're talking about influence. Well, most of the top creators on YouTube can trounce, from a purely objective, statistical perspective, can trounce what the people who are on television, what the people who are in movies are doing. Yet they're still treated as, like, this sort of second-class citizen in the world of media and news. And I think that is the frustration. And when I say, like, when I compliment your writing, I think foundationally, most of your stories, all of your stories that I've read, start from a place of, like, treating online creators as they should be treated. Like, here's a person who has a daily audience of 500,000 or 1.5 million viewers. When, like, Vice News Tonight on HBO, they have averaged 400,000 views a day, which is a lot. It's tremendous. When you start comparing that to YouTube numbers, it feels like middle of the road at best, small otherwise. And I think you're very good at, the writing that you do is very good at sort of putting them on, not elevating them, just putting them where they belong.
Do you feel like there's, like, media? Thank you. I wasn't waiting.
Always flatter your interviewer, and then they will, this is purely defensive. She's like, fine. You know what I mean?
I guess I wonder if you think that, like, that will lead to, you know, outside sources, like news sources cropping up. Like, I guess I brought up Download because they mainly cover YouTubers, but there's also lots of like other blogs, you know, and I know a lot of tabloids have sort of like sub-brands that are focused on this. Like, do you see that, like, that generation of creators will sort of have their own media companies that sort of spring up to cover them?
Yeah, I don't know who it's going to be. I mean, I see now that like TMZ covers YouTubers.
And the blast now, which is...
Yeah, cover YouTubers as much as they cover other. And I think the reason why is they have to. Nobody's clicking to read a headline about like some actor or actress the way they're clicking a headline to see about a YouTuber. And I think it's just, this is purely about the appetite of the public. So yeah, I think you're going to see that happen. I think it's going to happen fairly quickly.
I have a question about, like, I guess, again, like, you know, like, as you know, a lot of people, like, influencers, and people hate the term influencer.
I hate that term.
What would
an
you
Instagram
suggest
thing.
people call, I mean, what do you suggest, what do you call people who are really popular on these platforms, but maybe their primary platform isn't YouTube, but they are popular, maybe they're on YouTube?
I mean, I think the trouble is influencer is totally accurate. The trouble is, like, Tom Cruise should be called an influencer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Brad Pitt is an influencer. It's just, his influence is typically commanded through one medium. And that's acting. And I think that, like, social media influencers, their influence is a byproduct of several different platforms that don't have the definition or the understanding that a feature film does. So it becomes harder to silo it. The reason why it's frustrating is because, like, every person, for the most part, every person who's ever been called an influencer has been called an influencer because they've made something first. Like, you know, I work so hard on my videos, they're an expression of me and my creativity, and like, I'd much rather be celebrated or appreciated or scorned because of what I made, not because of the fact that I have influence. Does that make sense? Like, the same way that I feel like I'd be marginalizing Brad Pitt by calling him an influencer. It's like, no, he's a talented actor.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, fuck you, I'm a talented filmmaker. Like, why are you calling me an influencer? I work so hard on these videos.
Yeah.
Influencer. Stupid word.
This is such a generic question, but since we're almost out of time, it seems like a lot of people here all have their cameras. I feel left out.
I love
my
seeing that, by the way.
vlog.
Thank you, everybody, for bringing it.
Yeah, so, you know, I
Cheers.
think are looking for advice. What's some advice that you haven't given? Or is there anything that you've been at VidCon past, you know, past few hours, like, that you've seen that you wish, I don't know, any final, like, parting words of advice that you would give to this crowd? Like,
I mean, I don't know that I have anything new to share, but I will tell you that, like, all of those platitudes, like, all of that shit about working hard and being consistent and never giving up, it's just the truth. And it's just really, really hard to hear. It's hard to see. Like, when you do have that channel with 400 subscribers and you upload and you spend 12 hours a day and you have a day job and nobody's watching your stuff, it's like, to give up is an absolute guarantee to never make it. But to keep going despite all of the hardships means you're always keeping your foot in the game. You're always maintaining the possibility that luck might strike. And it's like, what is it? Luck is where opportunity meets preparation. You never know when the opportunity is going to come. But the minute you give up and you stop uploading because nobody's watching, you stop bringing your cameras to VidCon, the minute you slow down in your pursuit of that success or that dream, then when the opportunity does present itself, you're not prepared, and then luck ceases to exist. So it's like, persistence and determination alone will always get you there, but patience is something that I think is probably the most undervalued virtue when it comes to pursuing your own dreams.
what do you think the next generation of creators looks like? Like, do you see any trends emerging in the creative community? You're so immersed with, like, knowing every YouTuber that's
I mean, I don't know. I'm 2 generations out of it right now. This is how I identify it. Like, I was like the vloggers 4 years ago or whatever, and then there was like a whole wave of vloggers, and I was like, yeah, and I was like surfing that wave, and I felt like I was at the top, I was like, cool. And then like out of nowhere last summer comes like these like amazing hip hop diss tracks. Like, I mean it, like Rice Gum and Logan Paul, like they broke into 100 million view territory. Like they got platinum.
Jake
Right on,
and
thanks.
Jake and Rice are both
You have a nice
platinum
day.
now from the discount.
You know how crazy that is? And like that really, like as silly as those like diss tracks were, great growth hacks, like those are what really dominated the platform for 2017. That was so much of what the platform was. And now we're in 2018, and I think it's like this year got off to a really, really rocky start because there's so much negativity for myriad reasons, not just the behavior of Logan, but like this year got off to a really rough start on YouTube, and a lot of people looked at it scratching their heads. So what does this year mean? I don't know, but like, you know, TanaCon seems interesting. I'm a huge fan, I say this very gently, but I'm a huge fan of the boxing matches.
Oh my God.
I mean, I think it's awesome. As long, I hope they wear headgear. If they don't, then I'm like a slightly less bigger fan. Amateurs like should always wear headgear, but they were like dissing on the fact that they were.
Well, Jake was like, yeah, I'm not wearing headgear, but then somebody was tweeting like, no, I think they like legally have to wear.
Yeah, I hope they wear headgear. I'm a big boxer, but like I love that idea. Like that's a brilliant, brilliant hat on top of the net. If you think about the amount of content that can go along and leading up to it, like it's great. So what does the next generation look like? I think it's going to be vloggers who rap and fist fight.
Yeah.
So I have no idea.
Well, I think like why I think like what that might be is like, you know,
Please let that be a
for
trend.
a while, like the one thing I think the reason people pay attention to like election things, it's like there's this moment, there's this like huge lead up and a moment where someone's declared like a clear winner or something. And I think with YouTube, it's like, you know, very up and down and stuff. And I don't know, like part of what that fight plays into is obviously there's like a long-running beef or whatever, but also there's this like declared win, I guess. I don't know. So maybe
I mean, that's just human behavior. We're
yeah,
always
we want to see a winner and a loser.
my very, you know, like optimistic, unrealistic ideal for what YouTube could become is just like take a lot of the emphasis off of winning. Winning is in most viewers or most subscribers or relevancy, like rid of all that BS. And start breaking it up the way that sort of TV was broken up. You've got 100 channels, and one channel called the History Channel might not have a really amount of views as a reality TV show channel, but it's really meaningful to a group of people. Yeah, I need that as an History Channel starts putting on reality TV shows. The meaningfulness goes away, your audience goes up. But like on YouTube, like there's always something for everybody, as long as the people that are doing the creating take confidence in what they're doing. And knowing that like their audience of 20,000 is just as important as their neighbor's audience of 5 million. And I think that like if we were to get to that place, instead of YouTube being one big circle where everybody's trying to break in, it's 100 smaller circles. That's a really beautiful place to be. Because like there's certainly an appetite, there's certainly an opportunity for that, but it requires sort of marginalizing the ego aspect of being a creator instead of focusing on the meaningful aspect. And that's a tall order. I just want to say that 2 people in uniform just poked in, and I thought they were like paramedics or something, and they turned around and walked out and they said animal control on their back. And I was like, okay. Is there a lion on the knees? Like, is there like a barracuda? Like what? Is there like a great white shark swimming through? What could be in here that necessitates animal? Hold on, from the back.
That's a good question.
Okay. What would be the most fun?
You're an animal, Casey.
Like a honey badger going at everyone's
Yeah, we all alive, unsaved.
He's animal control.
I know it's like oh, animal, but thank you so much, Jason.
No, it's great to be here. Thank you for coming.
Woo! Yeah, Casey.
They're not leaving.
It's like it's the most terrifying interview. I've never had so many engaged fans. Like before you got here, they're like, tell Casey this, do Casey
What did they tell you to tell me?
Just their channels and their music.
No, this is awesome. I just want to say, like, I really love the, what is VidCon, there's creator track, there's community track in there? What's this one called?
This is
I
cool.
would appreciate this. Not that I don't appreciate community and fans and stuff, but like, everybody's here to like learn and listen. And so it's more interesting for me because you can have these like much more sophisticated, thoughtful questions. And I feel like there's an there's an interest level for that. So I just really appreciate it. I was sort of
Be back, like, share, and subscribe.
You tell me.